Your Eminences, Reverend Fathers, brothers and sisters in Christ, it is a great joy to be here. It is humbling to be in your esteemed presence as well. To understand my commentary, it's important for you to know that I'm a physician, an academic physician who's engaged in medical practice and policy in addition to ethics work for the last 20 years. So I begin. The rise of new and emerging technologies frequently bring concern over the overreach of technology or the unintended consequences such technology may bring to persons and communities. What follows is a call for greater ethical reflection with an assumption that ethics is lagging behind the technology. Further, there is a hope placed in ethics as a field to employ restraining or reorienting guidance, often through formation of rights. This essay will examine the limitations of ethics and rights generated by secular ethics to rightly orient technological advances and other societal maladies, the current and future use of artificial intelligence, and its impact on medicine and bioethics will be considered. The essay will attempt to soberly assess the promise and peril of artificial intelligence, rights language, and ethics as a field. Potential areas of helpful policy will be considered, as well as the pessimism that policy has ability to adequately direct the technology. Of particular concern will be how Orthodox communities are already impacted by artificial intelligence. This impact includes, but is not limited to, the false conflation of Orthodox theology with falsehoods regarding biomedicine driven by our artificial intelligence. Finally, the essay ends not only with acceptance of our humble circumstance and abilities, but proclaims that the superseding corrective lies not in rights or ethics, but in the healing ministry of the Church. So to achieve our purpose, it is necessary to give brief context on each of the areas for this consideration. That is medicine, bioethics, rights language, artificial intelligence, and finally transhumanism. The themes throughout will be a call for humility and sobriety in contrast to exaggerations, overreaches, conspiracy, and extreme positions. First, contemporary medicine has knowledge and technology like never before. It has prevented and treated diseases and conditions that once brought early death. These advances are most obvious in maternal and perinatal health, treatment and prevention of infections with antibiotics, vaccines, and improved sanitation. Strides have also been made in treating a host of other acute and chronic conditions. Medicine, however, also is sick. It suffers the same malady as the society at large. It is post-Christian in its morality and short-sightedly materialist in its epistemology. Worse, the society at large is often turning to medicine as a moral authority itself. In the spirit of laicism, the scientific healers in long white flowing robes are called upon to pronounce whether something is wholesome, healthy, and good. By pronouncing that something is necessary for health or the standard of care, this offers the needed appeal to authority that many seek, and so they think, ending the controversy. This is evidenced in the instance that elective abortion is necessary for women's health, that gender-affirming therapies are the standard of care for gender dysphoria, and that substances such as marijuana and psychedelics have a place in healthcare. These assertions not only lack evidence, but they're making moral claims that attempt to overturn traditional Christian norms. Further, medicine is replete with financial entanglements and conflicts of interest. Is medicine completely lost? Such a conclusion would be easy and would help inflame the fighting spirit that so many want to fuel. Medicine, however, is not completely lost. It merely resembles the diversity and complexity of man. As there are righteous and unrighteous among us, there are those who practice medicine with virtue and those who do not. The same medicine that kills an abortion also saves the newborn and the mother. The same medicine that brings assisted suicide also brings responsible, compassionate care for the dying. The same medicine that furthers the transgender movement also, and far more commonly, is helping the sick and suffering. Lacking moral and spiritual anchorage, lacking humility, has led to an exaggerated medicine, or one that oversteps its rightful place. Yet, inasmuch as a sober and humble medicine is practiced, it is good. Medicine as a field, however, cannot be relied upon to possess the moral courage and strength to resist the future that artificial intelligence may bring. Medicine, and by extension biomedical research, should not be seen as neutral, instead merely as diverse. Next, contemporary bioethics. Contemporary bioethics was born in the United States after the rise of liberal theology and ethics among the mainline Protestant sects, and the allowance for ethical diversity at Vatican II. The formal moral compass, no longer showing clear orientation, led to the attempt to create a secular morality that would guide and restrain medicine and biomedical research. The early years of bioethics allowed for great debates and disagreements. Bioethics responded positively to research atrocities with practical guidance. But by the 1980s, there was a growing demand for bioethics to further a particular principled morality, and one that was and is often antithetical to our holy faith. The principles that it furthered would seem to be uncontroverted goods. Yet when the principles are not rooted in the tradition of the church, they become abstractions that can be morphed into tools to further evil. Done well and done humbly, bioethics can still describe conflicts and competing positions. Further, it can guide in a thin procedural way to try to protect from foreseeable harms, such as requiring permission for research and insisting on tracking harms to research subjects and patients. Yet, regarding controversy, bioethics generally seems to only have authority when it is aligned with the broad desires of the liberal cosmopolitan society. Thus, it is predictable that bioethics may have a few voices that will sound alarm regarding artificial intelligence and transhumanism. However, the larger and broader sounding of the alarm, if it ever occurs, will predictably be too late, and arguably already is. Next, rights and policy. Rights and policy may be hoped for to address our concerns over AI and the goals of transhumanists. While vague natural or human rights may be named, the limits, definitions, and applications will not be agreed upon. Though some have recently argued that our modern rights movement was vivified by Christianity, rights as universal abstractions smuggle in a morality often contrary to that of the church. Like the before-mentioned principles of bioethics, rights language and concepts, when not anchored in Christian truth, become abstractions that can be morphed into what the person sees fit. They become mere rhetorical tools. The AI skeptic may want to further restraint by using rights to freedom, happiness, and health, especially if the World Health Organization's definition of health is used, which is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being. Yet those seeking progress with these technologies will win the argument using the same terms and the same appeal to rights. Legal rights, or more particularly law and policy, could have more of an impact. Simple policies that require transparency with the use of AI, or the ability to opt out of its use, or the ability to be protected from things our better selves don't want to influence us. These could be made. The use of AI is growing so quickly, however, that the practical window to require policy restraints is swiftly closing. Further, bad actors will not want restraints, and many politicians will want their money. Artificial intelligence the potential misnomer that His Eminence just described aside, has already shown promise and peril. Grammar and spell checking is greatly appreciated. In medicine, artificial intelligence has an enhanced radiology detection, with abnormalities now recognized that would have previously gone undetected. AI has ability to recognize patterns in large and complex data sets, which may lead to advances in diagnostics and therapeutics and may prevent errors. Errors, however, are currently what many physicians think of when they hear that AI is to be used. AI-guided dictation is amazing, but lacks the precision necessary for medicine. Just as an undergraduate student may use AI to write a paper that happens to read like a C- level paper, medical notes dictated with the aid of AI have errors, and in medicine, those errors can be deadly. In time, these errors will surely be improved. AI will be employed to make medicine more efficient and productive. The physician may be freed from the computer as the AI program transcribes the visit in real time with needed consults and orders ready to go. If history is a guide on the most effective use of AI, it will surely enhance billing and profit. AI has arguably been utilized most for commodification, profit, and greed. In this mode, AI has already transformed our society and impacted many Orthodox Christians. Devices and the internet are not merely ways of seeking information and connecting with friends and loved ones. They are devices that are mapping our desires and seeking to fulfill them with haste. Our better selves will to see and partake only of what is good and holy. Social media and the internet, however, show us a mirror to the darker movements of our soul. Depending on how the statistic is focused, pornography is estimated to be as high as 1/3 of all data transfers on the internet, helping to further a near $100 billion industry. Medical conspiracies, many of which many Orthodox partake in, are often furthered by those selling vitamins, training courses, or other speculative or false remedies. The more extreme the claim, the more AI algorithms know that you will like it. Tapping into fears and inflaming a fighting spirit or a desire for secret esoteric knowledge is often a formula for manipulative success. Sadly, this can be true of Orthodox internet commentators as well. AI algorithms know that a commentator who speaks of loving his bishop or how lovely the singers at the Clero sounded last week will have no chance of going viral. Scandal, esoterica, claims of heresy, or conflating medical conspiracy with our salvific faith, that will sell. And we have witnessed that Orthodox commentators are not above this temptation. Like conspiracy theories, defining artificial intelligence includes deception. The Turing test does not claim life or wisdom or goodness. Instead, the Turing test merely states that a machine demonstrates artificial intelligence when you cannot tell that it's a machine. Deception is inherent. Transhumanism may be the greatest extreme of this deception, the use of technology to change or even improve the nature or state of man. The stated goals may be peace, life, freedom, and health, yet it is more likely to be pleasure, escape from labor and risk, and isolation from relationship and responsibility. Thus, humanism's isolated individual is further isolated. Medicine, bioethics, and rights all assume the individual, further describing why they are ill-suited to protect or heal at the societal, community, family, or personal level. The most extreme goal of transhumanism has been described as a fully immanentized eschaton. This goal will surely remain fiction. However, we know that technology becoming constitutive of our identity and being potentially technology becoming constitutive of our identity and being potentially has immortal consequences in the resurrection. Transhumanism seeks salvation through technology. Yet Christ has already defeated sin, death, and the devil. We need no other salvation. To put off sin is to put on immortality. To turn to sin is to put on mortality and death. Paradoxically, the current orientation of AI largely realizes the opposite of the stated wishes of transhumanists. It encourages mortality and death, both physical and spiritual. To be humbly human is to live a life of repentance, not seeking beyond our ability, experience, and knowledge, becoming unmoved by the extremes that AI shows us. So, in conclusion, how do we resist? I agree with the simple and obvious advice that Professor Larcher provided in his book on the new media. To fast from devices, to be intentional and attentive, to be digitally minimal, to find time for silence and reading, and of course to be fully engaged in the liturgical, prayer, communal, and spiritual life of the church. I add to this a need for sober advising and seeking of knowledge. The extremes and falsehoods encouraged by AI and medicine are often found more on the internet, read in isolation from community. Cultivated Christian community has at least the potential in helping to providing real relationships with real experts. Further and more importantly, it draws our focus to the local, relational, and personal. It keeps us from the temptation of the evil one to be primarily concerned about what is beyond us, what is broadly out there, instead of putting to death our self-will and sinfulness. To be humbly human is to not assume that I know all or can attain all knowledge. To be humbly human is to trust that our great and merciful God will not give me more than I can handle, so long as I do not seek to reach beyond my grasp or reach beyond what he has given. Perhaps in doing so, by focusing on cleansing ourselves of sin, on loving our neighbor and living intentionally in community, we may show a better path than those groping at technology to save them. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Father Sampson.